Hi, welcome to lesson 8 where we carry on with data types. In this lesson we're going to implement a little project. Now I remember my early school days, I'm sure you all do, being called up to the front in the class where the teacher says, João, recite the 3 times table. It still brings shivers down my spine as I recall those days. Okay, today we're going to implement the times table by using the byte that we learned in the previous lesson and so on. Okay, I hope you guys enjoy it and let's get to it. Okay, now that we learned about one of the primitive types, the byte, let's do our first little project and create something. What we're going to do is we're going to do the times table. So what we're going to do is we're going to programmatically use the byte to develop a little class that simulates a timetable. So in our first project, using the primitive byte, we are going to create a small program class, in other words, that will output the times table. Okay, we'll be using the byte for this. So basically what we need is, if you recall, here's an example, you'll have, let's say 3 times 2 is 6 and so on. The 3 will be the multiplicand and the 2 the multiplier. So this is an example of a 2 times table, then the product. So we need variables to store these 3 and we want them all as bytes. And here's an example which we will then, but as we want a table of results, we need to loop through them. Okay, what I mean is, let's just have a look at the example. I've added this description of how to go about it as a comment, a multi-line comment. So you can go and look at the previous videos on multi-lines and comments if you're unsure. But here is my class, public class my times table, and then I've got a public static void main, the main method in which the JVM looks for when it starts. I need the, like I said, the multiplicand, which I've initialized to 1. And then the multiplier, let's say we're going to do the 2 times table, and then the product, which is 0. Okay, so we could have something like this. The product equals to multiplicand times and then the multiplier. Okay, and there's a couple of things you might not have seen before. The star in Java stands for multiply. It's one of the operators that you can use. The other one would be the plus sign, the minus sign, the divide sign, and so on. Okay, but the times is the star. Okay, so then we could say, use our famous system class, print line, and we could say something like this. We could say multiplicand, right, plus, and we could say, and it's to display it, and I'm going to put an X here for times instead of the star. The old maths times, and then we're going to say multiplicand times multiplier, okay, and we're going to say plus equals, and the plus is a concatenation symbol. It will concatenate this, then it will add an X to it, and then the multiplicand, so it would have 1 times 2, then we can say multiply, and this will be equals, and then we could put, and we'd put the result here, which is result, a product. And I'm just going to drag this a bit bigger so you guys can see the whole thing in one line. Okay, so it would look like this. So yeah, what I'm saying is I've got the multiplicand 1 times, which is 1 times 2 equals to the product. I'm assigning these two to the product, and then I'm just displaying it here. But as you know, this here results in an integer value, and product is a byte. So we'd have to take this whole value here and cast it to a byte. Okay, so we would cast the result of this to a byte, because the default value of any operation when you're using where you're adding or multiplying two integer values in type values, be it a byte or a short or an int, in this case, when you're using operators on them, they will be automatically be an integer, and we want it as a byte, so we must cast it to a byte. And now I'm going to save this, and we're going to call up the my terminal. If you're on Windows, you'd be using the console. Quickly just open it in that directory. So I'm going here where I've saved it, which is a shortcut to. And now that I'm in that directory, all I'm going to say is Java, and the name of my file is my times table, and I'm actually putting Java there. And it will, what it does is, you see, I'm not saying JavaC, I'm saying Java, so I'm running it. But that happens is, if you see the beginning of the video of this tutorial, you'll see that I speak about this, where you can compile in the background in memory and run it at the same time, but it won't create a class. So let's see what happens. It's giving me an error. It's telling me I need a bracket. I've left the bracket out somewhere, and it is true. For some reason I've deleted the 1. I'm just going to save it again, and it only had one error, so let's try again. Okay, I had an error there. I made that on multiplicand. It's still multiplicand. And yeah, you can see, okay, I fixed that. I changed that to multiplicand. I had a mistake there, that it's multiplicand. And if you see now, when I ran and compiled it in memory and ran it, it gave me 1 times 2 is equal to 2. But now, if I want now 2 times 2, 3 times 2, I would have to do something like this, and copy this, and then change the values each time. I would have now to say multiplicand to 2, because I'm just changing the multiplicand to 2 now. And then for the third one and fourth one and so on, I'm just going to make another copy here. And I would say this multiplicand would be now 3, and so on. You're getting the idea. And if I now just run it, and this is what I want. But now, if you look at this, I'm going to have repeating a lot of these things. Okay, so we actually need a way of looping through it. So what do we actually need for this project? Okay, we know we've got a multiplicand and a multiplier and a product, which are our three variables that we're going to store our mathematical or times table. But we need to print 1 or 0 times 2, 1 times 2, 2 times 2, and so on. Okay, so we've done this part. Okay. What we also need, which we've added there, secondly, we need to multiply the multiplicand by the multiplier and assign it to the product which we've got here. Okay, we know that assignment is an equals. We've used it before, and as you can see here, I'm assigning it, as you can see over here. Okay, so that is working fine. But what we also need is we need a way of multiplying. Now, just for you guys, if you guys don't know, it should be quite intuitive. The plus, that's a plus, that's a minus. The star is the multiply. The / is divide. This special one, which looks like a percentage, is the modular operation, which gives you the remainder. So if you had to say, let's say 3 divided by 2, the remainder is 1. The output here would be 1. Okay, because it gives you the remainder of it. Then we also got a pre and post increment and a pre and post decrement, which we'll look at later. And then we got an assignment. Like I said, that's the one thing we need. Okay, we also need a way to loop through our code or iterate through our code so that we can say the times table we want from the operand to be 1 to 10. So we want the thing to repeat 10 times. Then one of the loop or conditional expressions that we can use in Java is the for. Now here I've got an example of the for. There's two different ones here, or the same one depending on if you're using a single statement or a multiple statement. If you're using more than one statement, then you need to put the code in brackets. Okay, so the for is got an initialization, and then it's got the semicolon, the conditional expression, which I'm going to speak more about it now, a semicolon, and then expression list. And you'll see how it works now. We're going to use it, and then if there's more than one statement after the loop, in other words, it will loop once, twice, 3 times, depending on conditional expression. If it's only one, it's fine. But if you got more than one statement it must do in the loop, then you must put it in brackets. Okay. So what is the conditional expression? Conditional expression is the expression that results in Boolean. Now, I did speak briefly about Boolean in the beginning, but a Boolean value is something that returns true or false. So as you can see, I've got examples here of relational operators, which results in a conditional expression that results in a true or false. So we use 2 equals, which is not an assignment. Assignment is just 1 equals. 2 equals means is equal to. So 5 is equal to 5 will return true. 5 is equal to 3 will return false. This one here with like exclamation and equals is a is not equals to. So 5 not equal to 5 return false, because it is equal to 5. Let's just see this one quickly here. Let me show you an example here. So I'm just going to delete this now, or let's put this under something like that, and let's say system.out.println, and we're going to say 5 not equal to 5, and let's see what this gives us. I'm going to save it. And let's just run it. And you see 5 not equal to 5 gives me false, because 5 is equal to 5. Okay, so it's the inverse of the equals. Then you got is greater than. So 5 is greater than 3, it will return true. 5 is smaller than 3, will return false. Smaller is less than, or smaller than. 5 is smaller, will return false, and 3 is smaller than 5, will return true. And this one here is greater than or equal to. So 5 is greater than or equal to 3, or 5 is greater than or equal to 3. Because it is greater than, it will return true. Okay, and 5 is greater than or equal to 5 will return true over here. Because if we go and look at that one, we can try it out. 5 is greater than or equal to 5. Because I've got the equals to 5, it's not great. 5 is not greater than, but it is equal. So if you had to run this one, you will see it will return true. Okay, so just fix that there. 5 is greater or equal than 5 is true. And this one here, less than or equal to is 5, less than or equal to 3. No, it's false. 5 is always, and it's not equal, is 3 less than equal to 5. It is less than, so it would return true. Okay, so now that we know that we got a loop, yeah, we can do this easier. Okay, so we could do this way. I'm just going to put that back there. Oops. And I'm just going to, so we can keep it, I'm just going to put it in here. Okay, so how can we do this? Okay, we got that. Okay, so what I can do here is I can use a for loop. So I'm going to say for, and I've already initialized the multiplicand and the multiplier here, but I need to use it. So I'm going to say for, which one do I want to loop through? I want to loop through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. So I'm going to say for multiplicand and here I need to cast it because it's a gain over there as well, because these two operations becomes an int, and an int needs to be cast to a byte because an int is bigger than a byte. If you saw the previous tutorial, it will explain that. Then yeah, I just need to output the result every time, and then I'm closing. Because it's in multiple lines, I've got to put it in a code block, in this code block here, which is this block here. And let's see what happens. Okay, then I'll explain quickly what I'm doing here. Let's just see if everything's working. I didn't save it, so let me just save the changes and try again. I'm getting 3 errors. So let's see what errors I've got. Okay, so you see here, this is an initializer. It needs to initialize. Although I've initialized it there already, I need to initialize it here. Which I'm talking about now is, let me just fix it up and I'll explain to you. Okay, and as you can see, I fixed a couple of errors there. It was just typing errors. But as you can see now, I've got my timetable here. 1 times 2 is 2 times, and I'm using the loop. As you can see, all the way. So now if I wanted, say, the 3 times table, I would just change the multiplier to 3 and save it. And if I run it now, we have got the 3 times table. And so I can even do, say, the 6 times table, because I'm quite brave. And I learned my timetables, and you can see there it's working. But now the teacher, she challenges me and says, João, Zito, do you know the 12 times table? Well, let me try. And what I do is I go, yeah, and I know I'm going to multiply by 12. What do you guys think? Do you think, João, Zito, because I'm a byte, I'm in grade 1 or grade 2, I'm a little byte. And 12 times table is actually for maybe grade 3, grade 4, who knows, but I'm going to risk it. I'm going to say, okay, teacher, I put on my hand, let's try, you know. So let's see, 12 times table. And oops, I almost got there, but when I got to 11 times 12, I told the teacher minus 124. And 12 times 12 minus 112. Why? Because I'm a little byte. And if you recall from a previous tutorial on bytes, a byte can only store from minus 128 to positive 127, and 11 times 12 is really bigger than what I can store. So yeah, so I've got a problem. I can't, I think it's 132, and I cannot store 132, so I'm rolling or overflowing back. Okay, so I failed the 12 times table with a byte. And the lesson to be learned here is you use a byte to store your values that are within minus 128 to positive 127. And where you're going to use a lot of it, you would then use the byte value because it uses less memories. It's only 1 byte. Okay, just a couple of things I want to explain here. If you can see here, first of all, I'm using casting here. And that's because, like I said, when you got an operation on integer values, be it a byte, a short, or int, the default will always be an integer. So multiplicand byte times multiplier byte results in an integer, and an integer needs to be cast to product because product is of type byte. And I'm doing the same here. The other thing I want to show you is, if you recall, I mentioned here that the first one is an initialization value, initialization. So I've actually initialized it here, but because this is an initialization, if I remove this and I do that and I save it and I try and run it, you'll see it gives me an error over here by multiplicand. Okay, because it needs to initialize, even though you initialize it there. So I didn't need to put that there. I could have taken this one out here, and I'm just going to comment it out there, and I could have said byte here, byte in one line, and I could say equals to 1 because I want the 1 times table there. And I'm just going to extend this a bit bigger so you can see. So I'm going to say for the initialization here is equal to 1, and then here is my conditional, my true or false, as long as the multiplicand is equal to or smaller than 12, and this one here is I'm increasing it every time. So the first time the loop multiplicand is 1, next time multiplicand 1 plus 1, which is 2, and it will do that, and 1 plus it becomes 2, 2 plus 1 is 3, and it will keep on looping until it's, as long as it's small or equal to 12, and it will do the multiplication here. It will assign it to the product. So the multiplicand, the first round, the multiplicand is 1 times 2, 12 in this case, which is the multiplier. And then the next time it comes around, it's added 1 to it. So it's 2 times 12, 3 times 12, 4 times 12, until it comes 12 times 12. And the next time around, it first does this. And then it sees it's 13, and 13 is not smaller or equal to 12, so it goes and it finishes. Okay, that's the other thing now. There's a shortcut to do this, which is what I showed here, and later on in the course we will look at it in detail again, which is the pre and post. So this is the same as saying that. It's the same as saying that, but it's the same as saying x. So if I'd say x plus plus is the same same as x is equal to x plus 1, and x minus minus is the same as x is equal to x minus 1. Okay, like I say, just so I could change this here, and I'm just showing it here if you come across this code, but we will go into it in detail later on. I can change this just to say multiplicand plus plus, and I should have the same result. So let's see what happens now. So if I go here and I run it again, okay, it's giving me some errors, so it's unhappy with something. I just want to see what I'm missing. Oh, I said byte equals to over here, which is wrong. It's just like that. Byte is of type byte. Multiplicand. So I'll save it. Let's try it again. And there it's working fine, and there's my overflow. And so let's just try and make this a multiplier. Instead of 12, let's say we're doing the 5 times table, and I'm going to save it and run it again, and there's my 5 times table. So in effect, I don't have to repeat this every time. I can just use a for loop to do it. And as you can see, I've got my whole project done. I had a multiplicand, a multiplier, and a product. I needed arithmetic operations. I used the multiplier there. I also explained briefly what these two mean, which is the same as that. I needed an assignment operator, which is used many times. A relational operator, which is used here for the conditional statement. So it looks if it's true or false. A way to loop through our code, and we use the for loop with the initialization. So the for loop has got initialization. It's got your conditional statement, which it checks every time, and this one it changes the condition every time. So what happens the first time it initializes it, it goes through it, and then when it comes back it checks if the condition is fine. If it's fine, it will first increase it by 1, and then it will check the condition, and it goes through again, and it will increase, check, and so on and so on. Okay, so we've come to the end of this lesson 8, my times table, a project that we wrote to implement the times table using the byte. We also looked at the for control structure briefly, and hope you guys enjoyed it. Please don't forget to like the video, to subscribe to my channel, and I've also got a Facebook page related to this channel. Until next time, enjoy your day.